Hello and welcome to the channel. I am a wandering griot, and today I have a video that I'm particularly excited to share with you guys. Now, if you stick around till later on in the video, I'll fully explain why I'm excited about this video in particular. So for now, if you're here with me, please give the video a like and let's get into it. So, monsters, right? Who doesn't love a good monster? Whether it's from film or video games, a well crafted monster just speaks to something deep within all of us. I'm not quite sure there is a reasonable explanation as to why we have this fascination with terrifying and interesting looking creatures. But we certainly do, some of us at least, have a certain fascination with terrifying beasts or supernatural entities or whatever else you want to call it. And while there is likely a place in all of our hearts for classic creatures like the vampire or werewolf, what I want to do here is explore a creature that hasn't had much mainstream attention. Now, the creature in question, as you can tell by the title of this video, is Asanbosam, a terrifying monster that comes to us from the Akan people of southern West Africa. According to Akan traditions, Asanbosam is a humanoid creature that lives in the dense jungles, high up in the trees. He is known to prey on hunters and farmers that wander into his section of the forest. Now, while modern interpretations of Asanbosam is that of a evil and simple-minded creature, earlier traditions presents Asanbosam as a fearsome guardian of the forest rather than just a simple malevolent creature. Asanbosam is large, said to be many times the size of an ordinary man, with long limbs that it uses to swing from tree to tree, as well as its hooked feet. It is also said that the creature has long red hair and a mouth full of jagged, sharp iron teeth. Now, what exactly kind of monster is Asanbosam? Some have described the creature as a vampire, due to the fact that it is sometimes known to drink the blood of its victims. Other times, it is often described as a troll or an ogre type monster. None of these descriptions, however, are 100% accurate. This is because Asanbosam is a unique type of creature, from its appearance and attributes, even down to its moral disposition. Asanbosam, depending on the story, can either be a purely malevolent force bent on causing harm, or the monster itself can be a necessary tool of the gods meant to punish those who have broken sacred laws. For instance, it is sometimes said that Asanbosam doesn't just kill anyone who happens to stray into the forest. Rather, it specifically targets those who hunt the forest on a particular day of the week that is considered sacred to certain ethnic groups. Asanbosam has made a few appearances in fiction in recent years, most notably in the 2019 novel Black Leopard Red Wolf by Marlon James. As some of you might know if you've seen my previous video, in his novel, Marlon James chooses to portray Asanbosam as a terrifying monster, capable of speech, but still not the most intelligent. In James's novel, we get a glimpse of the horror potential that Asanbosam truly has. The creature is terrifying, swinging high above the protagonist, taunting him, playing with his prey as a cat would. There are many instances where characters and creatures from folklore and mythology have been reworked or used as inspiration for characters and monsters in modern stories. So if one wanted to do the same with Asanbonsam, what are a few ways in which the writer could approach that? Well, as discussed earlier, Asanbonsam has typically been portrayed in one of two ways. Either as purely a creature of malice with ill intent, or as a fearsome guardian of his domain. And even in some cases, Asanbonsam is set to guard a particular section of the forest by the gods. So in a way, he could be seen as a force for good, albeit a particularly brutal force for good. A necessary evil, if you would. Although, in my opinion, Asanbonsam has been somewhat mischaracterized as a vampire. Like a vampire, I believe it is possible to remove Asanbonsam from his typical habitats, which is forest or jungle, and place him in a wide variety of environments. Just picture it. You're reading a story in which the main character, for whatever reason, either enters an abandoned warehouse, a sewer system, or really any kind of environment where there are places for Asanbonsam to hide above the protagonist. Those are just a few potential ideas of a way to reincorporate Asanbonsam into a more modern story. So with that being said, earlier in the video I mentioned that this video in particular is special. And the reason for that is, well, you see, this video is my intent for it to be the first in a series. A series where I would look at other creatures and entities from African folklore and myth, and essentially do the same thing I did here. I explain the creature a bit, talk about some of its more contemporary appearances, and also give potential ideas as to how it can be incorporated into a more modern story. But there's also a second reason, and an arguably more exciting reason as to why this video in particular is special. So the way I plan to go about these is not only am I going to give you a breakdown of these creatures, but I plan on following up these videos with a microfiction story incorporating whatever creature I've previously spoken about. So, around a week from now, look for another video from me where I will be reading a short story of my own making about Asanbonsam. I'd like to thank you all again for sharing your time with me. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. Also, if you would, let me know down in the comments what do you think about Asanbonsam or how you might incorporate him into your own fiction. I'd like to thank you for sharing your time with me today, and I hope that in the future you will return for more stories with the Wandering Griot.